Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
To continue with the remaining theories of organizations and the use to which they can be put to analyze an organization, a reference to Maslow is a must. Man's motivational needs, he says, are to be arranged in a hierarchical order. Once given the level of need, it has to be satisfied, but once satisfied, it doesn't motivate. Now, this is a very important law of life. Once your motivation is satisfied, it loses its motivational value. So, perhaps there is something significant in letting your desires not get fulfilled. It will at least keep you going. The next higher level needs to be activated to motivate the individual. 5 levels of need hierarchy: physiological needs, safety needs, love needs, esteem needs, self actualization needs. Now, physiological needs means what? Food, shelter, safety, you must feel secure. Love needs, everyone has a tremendous need to love and to be loved, which is why people who can't even find somebody to love start loving animals. And if you can't find animals, you start loving objects. My grandmother had given me this pot, I love it so much. You don't love the pot, you are finding an object for your need to love. Then there are the esteem needs. Everyone wants to be admired. What do you tell the girl you love so much? You are the prettiest girl I ever know. The trouble is with whom you know, or the trouble is how big a liar you are. And of course, vice versa. Esteem needs have no gender factor, but everyone likes to be admired. And self actualization needs, the needs of fulfilling your potential. That is the hierarchy of needs according to Mr. Maslow. Now, it is fashionable to put it in a diagram form, and here they are: physiological, safety, love, esteem, self actualization. And this is why it is called a hierarchy. Remember, the hierarchy gets integrated because once one need is satiated, you use the next need to motivate. There is a hierarchy of motivation, and that hierarchy of motivation requires self actualization, esteem needs, belonging needs, security needs, basic needs, and I have given at the end of it the manifestation of these needs. For example, esteem needs, title. We are very, very fond of titles. There must be a prefix and a suffix, and we like a nice title, which means the smarter organizations do not necessarily revise pay, they just revise titles. Once I did a survey to discover the word director has 37 connotations in India. You can be a board level director, and you can be a director of simple goods and services, but people love to be called a director, because remember the ugly definition of management? Management is getting others to do your work. What a happy definition! You do not do something yourself, you just keep, you move this chair, you move that table. I told you it is an ugly definition, but then titles work in this country. The colonial power did it very well. They conferred huge titles for nothing, and people felt so happy. They continued with that even after the, from those days, and you know what days I am referring to. He was holder of this title. Wow, what a pedigree! Wow. Even today, certain titles may have been abolished, but you meet somebody from that tribe, you promptly refer to him as one. And you know the biggest flattery, there was a strain in which cubicle there were 4 people traveling, and there was one ex-Maharaja, there was one dean, there was one person who was a professor and one outsider. So, the outsider kept referring to the ex-Maharaja as a Maharaja. The Maharaja got off to get something at a train, as modern Maharajas have to, and the professor was talking to the dean and he called him Maharaja, and the dean said, I am not a Maharaja, the Maharaja just went out to get himself a cup of tea. He said, but for me, sir, you are the Maharaja. To which he said, yes, 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 get a cup of tea for yourself and for me. You see, people love titles. Even if he is only a dean, he likes to be called a Maharaja. It comes out of a very deep rooted inferiority complex. You always want to be what you are not. We can't sit on judgment. If it works, it works. The thing is, you have to use it appropriately in an organizational frame. That is what I am saying. No value judgments, please. So, people are driven by titles, status, promotions. They love promotions. In India, of course, nothing is more satisfying than a trip abroad. You want to promote your dealership network, take them to Bangkok. It is actually more cheap than taking them to Thiruvananthapuram. Take it from me, if you know anything about aviation tariff structures. But going abroad in India is like an Oscar. And then you come back from them and you carry a eraser and you give it to your niece. She carries it powerfully to the school next day. Uncle had gone to London. Huh? Your uncle had gone to London. What did he get? He got me this rubber. Huh? He also got me this pencil. Huh? And suddenly the value of Nita has gone up. What do you do? Crossing that immigration stamp is such a huge esteem need. I too have gone abroad. In fact, there are huge phrases in traditional lexicon, and one of them is London Polite. If you are London Polite, you have arrived somewhere. And mind you, going abroad does not mean going to one of your neighboring countries. No, 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 no. London, Washington, Frankfurt, Paris, that is going abroad. Are you following what I am saying? Placate people's esteem needs, you go very far in life. The amazing thing is, you can do much of this without any cost. And in fact, at lesser cost. As I said, you find out the tariffs, you will find out what I am telling you is true. Then belonging needs, formal, informal work groups. Everyone wants to belong to a group. Security needs, seniority plans, unions. One of the greatest colonial heritages is insecurity. We are all insecure wherever we are. Why is there such a family pressure when somebody marries out of caste? Insecurity, what is going to happen to the family? You must understand the material roots of psychological needs if you want to understand behavior, and if you want to understand a framework for analyzing behavior. Then there is a theory of MacGregor, theory X and theory Y. Theory X represents the old style authoritarian type of management and is based on 3 primary assumptions about human beings. Theory Y marks the point of departure for the new behavioral approach to management, and which believes that people love to be treated decently, handsomely. Hawthorne studies early leadership research, emphasis on participation and general humanistic philosophies would fall between theory X and theory Y. This means no matter where you are in the spectrum, it is a theory. If you believe that people respond only to fear, you are theory X. If you think people believe only out of love, how to respond only to love, you are theory Y. If you are somewhere in between, you are a follower of Hawthorne theories. So you can't go wrong. You are somewhere on the spectrum. Either X will win or Y will win or something in between will win. No prizes for guessing. That's the charm of behavioral sciences. Nobody ever goes wrong. And everyone claims he is a theorist. No wonder the engineers get so fed up with them. They say, what do you want to say? The important thing is you can't run life like engineering. These are two different ball games altogether. At the end of it, when you come to actual life, after you have learnt everything, there is so much more to be learnt. And you will never learn other than through conscious experimentation. Therefore, what does learning do to you? It teaches you how to learn from life and how to reduce your mistakes. That's the only thing. What are the assumptions of theory X? The average human being has an inherent dislike of work, will avoid it if he can. Theory Y marks a point of departure from new behavioral approach to management. Because of their dislike for work, most people must be controlled and threatened before they will work hard. The average human prefers to be directed, dislikes responsibility, is unambiguous and desires security above everything. That is theory X. These assumptions lie behind most organizational principles today and give rise to tough management with punishments and tight controls, and soft management which aims at harmony at work. Both these are wrong, because man needs more than financial rewards at work. He also needs some deeper and higher order motivation, the opportunity to fulfill himself, and that is the critique of theory X. These assumptions lie behind most of the organizational principles where people want to be tough. Theory Y, on the other hand, believes that the expenditure of physical and mental effort in work is as natural as play or rest. Control and punishment are not the only ways to make people work. Man will direct himself if he is committed to the aims of the organization. If a job is satisfying, then the results will be commitment to the organization. Theory Y assumes that the average man learns under proper conditions not only to accept but to seek responsibility. Imagination, creativity and ingenuity can be used to solve work problems by a large number of employees. Under conditions of modern industrial life, the intellectual potentials of the various average individuals can only be partially utilized. At the end of the day, each one responds to theory X at certain times, theory Y at certain other times. Nobody is totally theory X, nobody is totally theory Y. In fact, nobody is totally in between. Man is a complex person. What motivates a person at one point of time may not motivate a person at another point of time. What tickles you at one point of time may not tickle you at another point of time. So, none of these theories are totally right, none of these theories are totally wrong. It is a question of what I told you, what situation responds to what. Then there is the Herzberg theory of motivation, which says that job satisfiers were related to job content and also called the motivators. People are motivated by the contents of the job. Now, that is a difficult one to answer. How do you find a job which responds to what you are looking for? You have to be pretty insightful. The trouble is, at the end of the day, you want to make a living more than finding a satisfying job. If that is the only job you get, that is the only job you get. So, there is a theory and there is a practical world. At the end of the day, no matter how you decide, you are bound to go wrong. The question is only by what extent and in what direction. Therefore, we get back to the favorite behavioral theory: the world belongs to the mature. And if you are not the mature person, well then of course be ready for fun and games, and you know exactly what I mean by saying that. Job satisfiers are related to the job context and are called hygiene factors. They together form Herzberg's two-factor theory of motivation. If you have understood these three assumptions right, what are the hygiene factors? Hygiene factors are preventive and environmental in nature. It is equivalent to Maslow's lower level needs. They prevent dissatisfaction, but do not lead to satisfaction. Now, this is a beautiful statement. The greatest example of a hygiene factor is mother's love. You do not recognize it when you have it, but you miss it when it goes away. Now, how does that happen? Just reflect upon your relationship with your mother. Of course, if you are an angel, it does not apply to you, but by and large, most people have been rude to their mothers at some stage in their life. And it is only when they are not with their mother do they realize how much she did for what little. It is the same kind of theory. They prevent dissatisfaction, but do not necessarily lead to satisfaction. Now, if you can understand these seemingly contradictory words, you are into behavioral sciences. Because life is not a neat package, whether it is within an organization or outside an organization. And the sooner you come to terms with it, the better manager you will make. Hygiene factors do not motivate. For example, salaries, working conditions, interpersonal relations, supervisors, company policy and administration. How can salary motivate? Promotions can. You get the subtle difference? How can working conditions motivate? If there are bad working conditions, it will put you off. In fact, there are management experiments which have proved that productivity has gone down when working conditions have improved. You give them a comfortable chair, good lighting, a cup of tea whenever they want, they are chatting among themselves or sleeping. And this experiment was carried out on telephone operators. It is not an experiment which I am describing to you for the sake of proving a point. It is one of those recognized experiments that people realized you can't make a person too comfortable at his workstation. What is a company policy? Well, company policy is common to everyone, so it is not special to you. Motivators. Beyond a certain level, hygiene factors cannot motivate. Herzberg's motivators can be mapped to Maslow's higher level needs. Achievement, recognition, responsibility, advancement. What are the demerits of this? The key controversy, the methodology used. His model oversimplifies complex human motivational process. It is too limited in its focus. It does not take the whole picture. If you know how to use a computer, it is like reducing the size to 60% exposure. It gets too small. So, Herzberg again, like many other theorists, has said something important, but it is not a complete picture. Modern theories of organization management, by definition proposed by Hungarian biologist Ludwig von Bertalanffy in 1928, where he has listed the characteristics of traditional thinking, of systems thinking. And this is not something which needs to be explained. If you have followed what I have said here so far, please take a close look at it and try to understand what has been projected here. The first column gives you the defining characteristics against which the traits which come to be recognized under traditional thinking are listed, and the traits which come under systems thinking are listed, and you will see what is the difference between traditional thinking and systems thinking. This puts in a systematic form what I have been trying to explain all along. But it also goes beyond in terms of methodology. Traditional thinking deals with analysis. Systems thinking deals with synthesis. Traditional thinking deals with deductive processes. Systems thinking deals with inductive processes. Traditional thinking confines itself to the attributes of the object. Systems thinking goes to the interdependence of the objects. Traditional thinking often looks at the static. Systems thinking looks at the dynamic. Traditional thinking looks at cause and effect. Systems thinking looks at multiple probabilistic causality. Traditional thinking looks at a static solution. System thinking looks at an adaptive system or modeling. Traditional thinking looks at optimal. System thinking is also contending with the suboptimal. Again, neither of them are wrong. But you can clearly see that systems thinking is more sophisticated than traditional thinking. But again, the most sophisticated thinking may not work everywhere. You know how it is with gadgets. The more complicated it is, the more complex it is, the more suboptimal will be its performance, because its efficiency then has to be calligraphed even more carefully. And unless the machinery has that kind of a sophistication, the maintenance has that kind of capability, it does not work. Maybe at times keeping things simple has its own strength. Therefore, systems are elements in interaction. Systems thinking has two heads: open systems and closed systems. Open systems talks of import of energy from outside. Highly dynamic and flexible systems interacts with the environment. It talks of negative entropy, feedback mechanism. Closed system talks of self-contained and self-maintained general systems. Mechanical systems, rigid and static systems, and there is no interaction with negative entropy. With a feedback mechanism, again, there are no interactions there. In other words, to understand organizations, you must get two of your concepts clear. One is of systems types, which can be both closed and system. An open system is a system where there are no boundary conditions which are existing. A closed system is one in which the boundary conditions are clearly defined. System thinking also provides to organizations a framework of analysis, and there are a lot of people in organization management who apply the systems theory to understanding organizational operations, which is why you need to be exposed to systems perspective to provide to you a framework of analysis. I would like you to think about the questions such as: are systems nested in a hierarchy? If so, what is the example? The answer is boundaries create friction. All systems have input processes and outputs. Therefore, why worry about boundaries? All systems seek goals. Therefore, ultimately, without getting into a debate on whether it is an open system or a closed system, let us look at the system theory. What are the contributions it has made and what are its limitations? Let me explain to you in another manner. Agriculture is an open system and industry is a closed system. Both serve a purpose. So, it is not as if a priori closed systems are better than open systems. And then there will be a discussion: how closed is an industrial system? How open is an agricultural system? If you have boundaries to a plot of land on which you are cultivating paddy, is it really an open system? And if material is coming through a supply chain and going out to vendors, is it really a closed system? Now, the debate becomes endless, and it is not my purpose to enter that debate here. My purpose is to say these are broad two categories of reference which can be used to provide a framework for organizational analysis. Let us not forget about the topic which we are on. So, what is the contribution of systems theory? It recognizes the importance of relationship between organization and environment, and the limitations are it does not provide specific guidance in the functioning of the managers. For our purposes, that is all that needs to be said. Three distinct but closely related theories are general systems theory, cybernetics, and information theory. This is what will bring us to the close of this whole discussion, because general systems theory is interested in systems in general, family systems theory is an extension of this branch. Cybernetics is a science of communication concerned with transmission and control of information. It examines the communication and manipulation of information in various systems, and information theory focuses on reduction of uncertainty, which is achieved by acquisition of information. And all organizations deal with information theory, because an organization is brought alive by exchange of information. The organizational commands are given through information. Therefore, there is a close correlation between information systems and organization management. There are other theories on which people have commented, like general system theory, which was proposed by Ludwig, has focused on building universal concepts and postulates principle, and the general system theory was used to explain the behavior of a variety of complex organized systems. It was a worldview, and there were 9 levels of complexity of GSTs. There are several assumptions of general systems theory, which I am just mentioning to you. I am not getting into the details, because systems approach to organization management is a topic in its own right, and this session is devoted only to various organization theories and frameworks of reference of analysis of organizations. And so long as you know that systems theory is a framework of organizational analysis, you need not be worried about getting into the details of general systems theory, cybernetics, information systems, which is important to know, but does not constitute the subject matter of this particular analysis any more than any of the other theories which we have done need not be understood in all their ramifications, but as a general basket of theories, a general perspective on organizational analysis. So, this will give you a whole range of possibilities which you have on how many theories are used to explain organization management, and how they can be given a relationship with each other to provide a framework for understanding organization management. In the ultimate analysis, the selection will depend upon the type of the organization or the type of the subunit you are looking into and trying to understand. Thank you very much.